following Halloween photos and Super 8 films were made by my family in Daly City, California, when my brothers and sister and I were growing up in the 1960s and 1970s. The principal locations were the old family home at 300 St. Francis Boulevard near Westmoor High School, Broadmoor Presbyterian Church at 377 87th Street, and Daniel Webster Elementary School at 425 El Dorado Drive. parents put on the church Halloween parties for several years, and there never were any restrictions on the kids' costumes, as was often the case if a party was held at all in other churches. My mother began dressing as a witch every year, playing spooky Halloween records in the garage, where she would sit at a table with the candy and offering to give pretend psychic readings with fortune-telling cards, from which she removed the negative cards so that none of the neighborhood kids would receive an unpleasant fortune. One of my earlier memories was going to the church Halloween party and being in real amazement upon seeing an older boy whose homemade costume made it appear that his head had been cut off and only a few red veins were sticking out of his neck. The impression lasted, and years later I made 3 headless sculptures from found objects. The first was Sam the Decapitated Accordion Man. The second was Mo the Decapitated Hobo, and the third was Roy the Decapitated Musical Boy. One year after I stopped trick-or-treating, I decided to go out on Halloween night just to walk around the neighborhood. But that proved to be a mistake, because an old friend of mine named Michael Moore had gone out costumeless too, only he was carrying a carton of eggs. As soon as we saw each other, the chase was on. I could not believe he was targeting me and that he was catching up. Fearing I could not outrun him, I ran up the well-lit stairs of someone's house, vainly hoping he would relent. But the next thing I knew, he was hurling one egg after another at me, and every egg found its target, leaving me quite the picture of defeat. Then he stood there, proudly admiring his work, while I'm sure my eyes pleaded with him, "Why, Mike? Why did you have to do it?" No words were spoken. He simply turned and walked away into the night. I gathered myself up and returned home. I never saw him again. My one consolation is that he had not buried the eggs prior to Halloween. Another boy had told me he did that in order to make the eggs extra rotten.